Hello, this is Professor Nassar, and in this lecture we're going to go over the gross anatomy of the liver. So let's get started. In this model of the liver that we're seeing, this is the view that we're looking at is really a superior view of the liver, i.e. sort of if you were looking straight down from somebody's head, you can see the orientation here. This blood vessel is your inferior vena cava, and you're looking straight down the middle of it. What I would like to do is sort of take this off its stand and instead reorient it a little bit so that it's positioned a little more naturally in how you would see it in the human body. And I apologize that there's of course a big pole sticking out in the middle of it. Of course, this would not be here in real life. This is just part of the stand that was sitting in the model to hold it up. But in real life, the liver would be situated something like this. So let's go through the orientation. This is the anterior surface, or an anterior view. This is the right side of the body. This is the left side of the body. This is superior, and this is inferior. Next, let's go through the lobes of the liver. The liver in humans has 4 lobes. This is the right lobe. This is the left lobe. From the anterior view, that's about all that we see with regard to liver lobes, but there are some other features that I would like to point out here. Between the right liver lobe and the left liver lobe is a ligament. This ligament that you can see outlined by these 2 thin white strips. This ligament is called the falciform ligament, and it's a remnant of the embryonic ventral mesentery. A word that obviously doesn't just flow right off my tongue. The embryonic ventral mesentery is basically a thin sheet of tissue that in the fetus supported the umbilical vein, which we will also see the remnant of on the posterior surface of the liver. There are 2 other features that we can see here. As we pointed out before, this blue blood vessel here is your inferior vena cava. And this little green tongue that's sticking out at the base of the liver is your gallbladder. Okay, so let's turn the liver around now and look and see at what we can find on basically what we would call a sort of posterior inferior view. In this case, let me see if I can put it back in the stand so I don't have to hold it and wiggle it around. And let's see what we can see from there. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so again, let's get oriented. This is the right lobe of the liver. Here is the left lobe of the liver. Now here we can see some additional structures. This structure here in green is the gallbladder. And there is a liver lobe between the gallbladder and the left lobe. It's this lobe here that's a little bit rectangular or square in shape. This is called the quadrate lobe. The 4th of the 4 liver lobes is located up here. You have to tilt the liver a little bit in order to see it, but it's situated right here. That lobe there. And it's sort of tongue-shaped. You can see a bit of it more here, and if we flip the liver around, you can see it more from a superior view, like so. So again, this is the right lobe, the vena cava, the left lobe is over here, and this 4th lobe here is the caudate lobe, and it's a bit tongue-shaped in its appearance. So caudate lobe is there. So one more time. Right lobe, gallbladder, quadrate lobe, left lobe, and way up here, just out of your field of view, is your caudate lobe. Okay, let's see what other structures we can see here. In this view, we can see that there are a number of vessels and tubes coming in and out of the liver from this area. This region of the liver, again, we call the hilus, just like we have hiluses of other organs as well. The liver has a hilus too, and it's this region here. From the gallbladder, recall from a previous lecture that I gave talking about the ductwork of the different organs that are coming out from this system in the pancreas. The gallbladder is a organ that basically concentrates bile from the liver. And when it's ready to release that bile or take bile in from the liver, there is a tube that drains from the gallbladder or brings bile to the gallbladder from the liver. And that tube is called the cystic duct, and it's located right here. In fact, let's take this off again, and let me bring this a little closer to the camera so you can see it a little better. My apologies for if my hand shakes. Here is the gallbladder, and this structure here is your cystic duct. All these other green tubes that you see here are all part of what we call the biliary system of the liver. These are bile ducts that are draining bile from the liver and the liver cells, otherwise known as hepatocytes. And you can see they are just as prevalent throughout the liver, this biliary system, as are the arteries and the veins. In the end, all of these small little bile ducts coalesce into two hepatic ducts, and then the hepatic ducts coalesce into what's called a common hepatic duct that is located right here. So this is the cystic duct. Let me come in from this side. Here's the cystic duct draining from the gallbladder. And here is the common bile duct draining bile from the liver. Together, the common bile duct and the cystic duct merge to form... Oh, I'm sorry, I misspoke. Together, the common hepatic duct and the cystic duct merge together to form the common bile duct. See how easy it is to get these terms confused? Even anatomists like me do it all the time. So here is the common bile duct, and it represents the conversion between the cystic duct and the common hepatic duct. Okay, there are also one or two other features on here that we'd like you to appreciate. If you notice, there's another whole series of vessels here that are in purple. Do you know what those are? That's right. This is a branch of, or this is really your hepatic portal vein and its many branches. Recall the hepatic portal vein is transporting blood from capillary beds in the intestines back to the liver for your liver to detoxify your blood before it's sent back to general circulation. This silver line that you see here is the second of the two ligaments that we also want you to appreciate in the liver. This silver line is called the round ligament, or the round ligament of the liver, and it is a remnant of the fetal umbilical vein. In the fetus, you may recall there's an umbilical artery and an umbilical vein. The umbilical vein brings oxygenated blood from the placenta of the mother back to the fetus. But since the liver is non-functional, this umbilical vein basically shunts its way through the liver to go to the heart. The first organ that the umbilical vein basically goes to when it returns blood, oxygenated blood to the fetus, is the liver. But since the liver is non-functional, it basically just shunts the blood straight through it. Okay, so we talked about the hepatic portal vein, and that's bringing blood from your capillary beds in your intestines back to the liver for processing and detoxification. How does the blood then re-enter your general circulation? How does it leave the hepatic portal vein, or how does it leave the liver and get back into the vena cava? Do you remember from your circulatory anatomy days? That's right, there are two veins here, one on this side and one on this side, and these are called the hepatic veins, not to be confused with the hepatic portal veins, which are these in purple. Wow. So these are your hepatic veins, and they drain blood from the liver lobes back to your inferior vena cava, and then blood re-enters your general circulation that way. Okay, this is the nice model of the liver. We also have one that you can pick up at your local dollar store. It's sort of a crappier looking model, looks something like this. I'm just joking. This is actually a rather nice model as well. It's just not as elegant or detailed, and it has sort of the texture or feel of a football. But in any case, you might get tested on this model as well. And so let's just go through the various parts again. Okay, this is again, we're looking at a anterior view of the liver. This is the right lobe, left lobe, and the ligament that separates the two is the falciform ligament. You can also see the inferior vena cava here and the gallbladder. On the posterior surface, it looks something like this. You can see it's not as detailed, but in some ways it's a little easier to see the parts. Here again is the right lobe, gallbladder, quadrate lobe, left lobe, caudate lobe. From the gallbladder, we have the cystic duct. And then, let me zoom in here so you can see this a little better. From the gallbladder, we have the cystic duct. And then from the liver lobes, we have the common hepatic duct. The common hepatic duct shown here and the cystic duct shown here merge together at this point to form the common bile duct, which is here. So common bile duct, cystic duct, gallbladder, and then the common hepatic duct. Here's your hepatic portal vein. There's your inferior vena cava. And here is, you can see why this is the dollar store model. Here we just have one hepatic vein. There should be another one on the other side here, but I guess they just left it out. And then finally we have the round ligament of the liver here in silver. Okay, gang, that's it, I think, for everything regarding the anatomy of the liver. I hope you enjoyed that. Good luck studying. I know you don't have the models to look at home, so I hope this serves as a reasonable substitute. Good luck and enjoy.